It's the age-old problem. Which should you spend money on, SEO or paid ads? My name is Jed Richardson and I run a digital marketing agency called Dramatic. Let's dive in. So, SEO versus Google Ads, right? They're both ways of sending traffic to a website. On the one hand, you've got organic traffic, what people called free traffic, although we'll find out about that in a second. It's not really free. And you've got paid traffic, or those sponsored links that you see at the top of Google everywhere these days. They are those sponsored links are paid traffic, and that's using their advertising platform called Google Ads. So they're both the two ways of sending traffic to your website, and they're both very different things, and there are different considerations for both, which we'll look into now. Okay, starting with, let me just move myself out of the way. Time is a biggie. So with SEO, it's a slow, steady race, right? There's no such thing as sort of overnight success with SEO. It takes a period of time, usually 3-6 months and on, right? Depends on how much SEO, it depends on the state of your site, right? If you're already ranking for a lot of organic traffic, you can get a lot of gains through publishing more content and optimizing your content. But if you haven't been doing any SEO and you get no organic traffic, then getting that wheel spinning can take a long time, right? I've put here 6 to 12 months, but it's just know it's not an overnight thing. Google Ads, on the other hand, is almost like the opposite of that. So within a few days, certainly within like a week or two, you can get a campaign running, which gets your ads or your sponsored links at the top of Google for the keywords that you want to go after. And you can get visitors coming to your website straight away within a week or two, right? So, SEO is slow burn, can take like a long time. Google Ads is pretty instantaneous, right? But obviously with that instantaneousness comes a price, and literally the cost is pretty huge, right? So Google Ads is a pay-per-click model, a PPC model. So once your ads are appearing at the top of Google for the keywords that you want to rank for, every time a potential customer clicks on one of those links, you pay, right? So what's stopping? I can hear you thinking, well, what's stopping somebody clicking that link 100 times and cost me a fortune? Well, that could happen, but you put limits on how much you're willing to spend in a given day or a given period. So you don't end up like spending your family savings on Google Ads. Well, you shouldn't anyway. But it costs you money, definitely. And depending on the keywords that you're trying to rank for, that can be anything from a couple of dollars to $200 a click, right? It really varies, right? Depending on the industry, right? If you're selling like private jets, to get a click on a private jet ad, it's going to be huge, right? Compared to if you're selling, I don't know, mops. Okay, so cost is a biggie. Now, just before we go on, SEO is not free. So while organic traffic you don't pay for, you certainly don't pay per click, it costs you a lot of time and money if you don't have the skills yourself, money to hire an SEO company to help you do everything that you need that's needed to bring in organic traffic, right? So it ain't free, I'm afraid. And if somebody's telling you that organic traffic is free, well, run a mile. It's not free, and it costs you, and it definitely costs you if you do it badly, because then it's a total waste of money, right? Okay, which brings us neatly on to effort required, right? Which is the same point, really. So with SEO, too much to go into here. But there's like various things that you need to do to start bringing in organic traffic, right? So there's lots of technical SEO things that you need to get right. You need your site to be performing well from a speed point of view. It needs to be structured in an easy way for the Google bot crawler to work its way through the site and understand what you have on the site. So, and then you need content, right? And the content needs to be tagged in the right way so that, again, the Google bot understands what your content is about and understands what terms to rank it for, right? So all that is complicated, and that's why SEO is a huge industry in its own right, because Google never really divulges. Well, they sort of do, but they don't really divulge what it takes to get organic clicks, right? They never really divulge the secret to how to get organic traffic. But the sort of the art and science, more of the art is understanding through testing and through years and years of study and trial and error, working out what works and what doesn't, right? Whereas Google Ads, on the other hand, is relatively straightforward, right? So there's not an opaque algorithm that you're trying to decipher. It's there's definitely do's and don'ts. There's definitely ways of setting up Google Ads campaigns that are more effective than others. But still, you're not trying to second guess an opaque algorithm. You still got to identify the right keywords. You've still got to write good ads and write good ad copy. You've got to create good landing pages, and there's definitely an art to doing all that. And there's big difference between people that do that in a really poor way and people that really dial in all that and do that well. But for sure, there's more effort required in on the SEO side, right? Which is kind of understandable, because hey, it's free traffic, but it's not free, but it sort of is as well, because great thing about SEO is once you get ranking in a top position for a keyword, right? Then you don't pay you've done the hard work to appear in that top spot for the organic results, right? You've given Google exactly what it wanted, and it ranks you there. And then you just reap the benefits until, of course, Google sometimes turn the tables and you don't rank for those terms anymore. But I want to say most of the time the rankings stay stable. They don't really, but you usually have a good period of time where if you're ranking for that term, you sort of stay there, right? And then everything you get is free, which is nice. Whereas Google Ads are sort of never free, right? You can bring down the cost per click by improving what's called the quality score. You can do things like a bit like what I just said, that the create the keywords, the ads, and the landing page, making sure that's all tightly dialed in. That helps to bring down the cost per click, but you're still going to be paying. Okay, control over content, right? So one of the big differences is with SEO, you have a lot less control of what you sort of rank for. So you sort of do everything you can to give the Google monster everything it needs to then read through your content and figure out what your site's about and figure out what and then it puts you basically puts you where it thinks you belong, right? Now that sometimes is not what it ranks you for terms that you didn't expect, which sometimes is a nice surprise, but often it's hard to second guess what's going to rank. So typically when you start SEO, you publish content and you just have to publish content on a regular basis. And then Google will start ranking your site for different terms. And then it's kind of like, oh, wow, I'm ranking for that. That's interesting. And sometimes what you rank for is not what you expected, or maybe not even what you want, right? So you've got to deal with that. On the other hand, Google Ads, you've sort of full control, really. I mean, you can specify the keyword, you write the ad. There are variables in there that you add in there, but you can be very deliberate about what appears, because hey, you're paying for it, right? So when your ad appears for that keyword, it's pretty much exactly how you want it wording, which is great, and you don't have that same degree of control, right? But you pay for it. Okay, so in a nutshell, Google Ads provides immediate visibility, right? But SEO ensures sustainable long-term growth, right? So that brings me on to basically which should you do, right? Okay, so ideally both. In a perfect world, you do both. But if you have to choose, if you want fast growth and you have the funds, or basically if you have the money, go for Google Ads, right? Much quicker way of getting people to your site. Go that way, right? If you're low on funds, start with SEO, right? You can get pretty far by learning yourself, and it's a much slower pace. But if you don't have the money to throw at it, start with SEO. But like I just said, they're both sort of you find like most like established businesses do a combination of both, right? They're not just doing paid and they're not just doing SEO. So all the clients that I've really ever worked for do both, right? And you can use Google Ads for sort of quick wins, promotions, launches, etc. And SEO for long-term authority and organic growth, right? So there's also an argument that improving your SEO actually brings down the cost of your Google Ads, right? So it's slightly hypothetical, but a lot of people say that. And there's also sort of, again, rumors that if you run ads, your organic rankings can improve. Now, it's all slightly speculative. I haven't seen any solid evidence around that, but there's basically, I mean, it's the same company, Google, right? So it wouldn't totally surprise you that, hey, if you're spending money on ads, that they're gonna favor your organic rankings. It wouldn't surprise you that much, but I've never ever seen any conclusive evidence of that, right? What you can do is you can reduce your ad spend over time, right? So basically, as your SEO strengthens, your reliance on paid ads can decrease, right? So probably always a good idea to have a hand in the game on the paid side, but obviously as you rank, and great thing about SEO if you keep doing it is you get more domain authority. Google knows you, trusts you. You rank for stuff, and you can just keep strengthening your SEO footprint. So Google just sort of wants to rank you, and it perpetuates and it grows and it snowballs. You can obviously reduce your paid ads as well. So the more organic traffic you bring in, you're like, okay, maybe I'll roll off on the I'll cut back on the paid ad side, or keep it the same. I mean, one thing that you should definitely be doing is doing CRO. So CRO stands for conversion rate optimization, to improve your conversion rate. So basically, regardless of whether, let's see if I can find my diagram, regardless of whether you're sending traffic from your traffic's coming in organically or through paid, when they get to your website, you should be optimizing your site so that more people fill in the inquiry form, or hit that button, or do whatever you consider a conversion, right? And there are like tons of ways to improve that part of the journey, because you're doing all the hard work, whether that's through SEO or through Google Ads. When they get here, you don't want a 1% conversion rate, right? Like conversion rates can transform a business if you increase the conversion rate at the website. Like you don't even have to do anything here. Keep these as they are and improve the conversion rate there. So definitely that is a good thing, right? So one final consideration is the future, right? And I think the future, who knows what the future holds, but there's been a trend. So as I've been like working in SEO in the last 10 years, right, I've seen that there are fewer and fewer organic clicks that Google are sending off to third-party sites, right? So Google sort of wants to keep their users on Google, right? So back in the day, there used to be, weather websites, right? Now you can just see the weather like at the top of Google, right? The same with like time zones, currency conversions, all translations. They over the last few years, Google have like sent fewer and fewer clicks off Google, which has a real negative effect on independent publishers like us, right? Because Google is basically keeping its users for itself, and we don't benefit at all. And even more so now that they've introduced AI. So these AI overviews that sit at the top of Google, they basically reduce even further the number of clicks that go from Google to sites like ours, which is not a good thing, right? But in addition to that, if you look at, I took a screen grab of, so I did a search earlier for solar installer near me, right? So I live in the UK, and you just look at the sheer number of paid ads. Now, admittedly, these are not paid, but basically, these are all paid, right? Paid, and then you basically got to get down to organic, to all the way down here for when the organic, the sort of true organic search listings appear. Now that, I mean, if I had a screenshot of 10 years ago, like Google was completely different. It had the paid links in the sidebar here, I think colored in sort of blue, like blue background, looked really different, and the search engine was all about organic. And that it makes the majority of its revenue, Google, through advertising. So it feels like this is how they make money, and they've slowly been turning the dial towards paid, which begs the question, what is the future of organic, right? As they just keep getting pushed down further, and now you've got, I mean, we haven't even got AI overviews here, but AI overviews are appearing for a lot of queries. But they can't ever fully remove organic results, right? Because apparently they're needed to feed the AI, right? So, because you could say, well, do they even need the organic? And again, who knows what the future holds? But I'm sort of comforted. I'm comforted in the thought that there's always going to need to be an element of organic. But the flip side to that is that if they make it so rubbish for independent publishers like us to produce organic content because, hey, you never get any clicks, then will people like us, stop publishing organic content? And then what the AI is going to even train off? They're the questions, and we just really don't know, right? What we do know is Google Ads are Google's biggest moneymaker, so they ain't going away anytime soon, right? So, by doing ads, you're playing their game, which is a good thing to an extent, but it's also like going to cost you money, and that's not a good thing. And ads are getting more and more expensive, which isn't a good thing either. Obviously, there are ways of running good Google ad campaigns where you basically set it up so it's as cheap as it possibly can be, but it's still going to cost you. So anyway, what do you think? Which is your preference? SEO or Google Ads? Do you think there's still a future in SEO? Or do you think it's like with AI now, it's just all regurgitated? I mean, it's so easy to spin text-based articles now, right? So is that the future? And then will organic eventually disappear? Who knows? But all I'd say is for the short to medium term, to be fair, there's still lots of real estate there for Google rankings, for Google for organic listings. So you'd be stupid not to take advantage of that and go after the organic results. They're not all as bad as this. There are lots of results pages where organic is still still relatively near the top. Yeah. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed that, and let me know your thoughts. See you again soon. Cheers. Bye.